Welcome back to Be My Guest here on the Nextsportstar.com network. I'm joined right now by Neil O'Donnell, former NFL quarterback, and of course he played in the Super Bowl. It was Super Bowl 30, and it was against Dallas. Unfortunately, his team came out on the losing end, but nonetheless, Neil played a long time in the NFL. Right now, he's a representative for Field Turf. 23 of the 32 teams in the National Football League use Field Turf. I should ask you first of all, Neil, when you were playing, was Field Turf around at that time, or were we talking like AstroTurf and all these other synthetic turfs that just basically really took a lot of years off players' careers?
It was actually just breaking in when I was coming through. I mean, it was my last 2 years I was playing on some Field Turf fields, and it was. I mean, the old days, the old AstroTurf used to kill you. It used to be just a hard carpet on some asphalt, and I'll never forget sometimes the hardest part of the game were the showers afterwards because of burns from the rug burns, and that has all changed now with Field Turf. You don't get the turf burns like you used to, and it's a wonderful product. I mean, it is the closest thing to natural grass, and I've been with them now 8 years, and I believe in what they're doing and the products they're providing right now.
I've been to numerous fields. I've seen Field Turf up close, but maybe you can explain to people what is Field Turf and how long does it take for a field to sort of break in? Because I know when you're first watching a game on a new field, you see all like the rubber pellets just flying all over the place. So how long does it take for that field to sort of work itself into, I don't know if shape is the right word, but to the point where everything settles in and you don't get the rubber pellets flying all over the place?
Well, you do. It has to calm down. When a new field's installed, the static will actually, keep a lot of the rubber on top of it. But when you look at a Field Turf field, the thing that people don't realize, what we have over 30 patents on this whole synthetic turf industry, and what's so important is, let's just start with natural grass. There's nothing better than playing on natural grass opening day, by far. The smell, the way it looks, the speed of it, everything. There's nothing better than natural grasses for an athlete. But guess what? As time goes on with weather and all the other sports and the playability that people are getting on these fields, it never looks the same in the middle of the season. So we try to simulate the best and closest thing to natural grass. And how do you do that? Is you build a great infill system, meaning you build the dirt. And that's what players run on. When you look at other turfs, I mean, the infill is such an important factor because it's almost as like running on the beach. You never run up by the boardwalk. You run down by the water because it's a little firmer and it's not too hard. So you have to worry about, maybe concussions, and we have GMAX studies that controls that. So infill is such an important factor in a Field Turf field. And we put by far so much more infill, meaning the silica sand and the cryogenic rubber. We put so much more rubber and sand into our field, 9.2 pounds, which makes the field fast enough where it's firm enough, but not actually soft enough where it makes you very fatigued to run on a soft field.
How long did it take you to basically understand what Field Turf is all about? It's the components of Field Turf and basically what it's the benefits of Field Turf, because I think when it first came in, it had to go through the kind of process where people are wondering, well, what is this? Why do I want to get away from like AstroTurf or whatever? So how long did it take you to sort of become aware of what the product is and to be able to go out and sell it with confidence?
Well, it took time because everyone was so used to the history of the synthetic turf. And we have data now that's out there that says that actually synthetic turf is safer than natural grass. And people will never believe that until you show them the data and say, look, here it is right here, just through the fact that when you think of the old synthetic turf fields, you think of the high ankle sprains, you think of the knees, you think of the turf burns, you think of the concussions. This has all changed, and Field Turf made a wonderful job and spent a ton of money in research saying, okay, how can we make this field fast enough? Because you want to play on a fast field. With the game of football, soccer, it's all about speed. I don't care what position you play, it's about speed. So you have to make these fields that they are very quick fields, fast fields, but also safe enough for the athletes.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Darren Gill, who's a sports agent in Canada. He also has some clients in the NFL, and he's also heavily involved in Field Turf. It's through Darren that you and I were able to visit this morning. I wanted to ask you about playing in the Super Bowl. And what was it like that entire week? Because we've just gone through a couple days ago Media Week. And I think Media Week has grown exponentially from this thing where you would have just a bunch of journalists that cover the NFL descending down upon, the city where the game is being played. But now you've got people coming from every which network, the expansion of cable TV. You got all kinds of people coming in there. Was there anything close to like that, the year that you were in the Super Bowl?
It was. I mean, I played with the Steelers in Super Bowl 30 and also went there with the Titans here in Tennessee Titans when we lost to the St. Louis Rams. But literally, I think it's overkill. I mean, I do a TV show here twice a week, and I just think the 2-week layover is way too much. Because, Perry, what are we talking about now? We're talking about Ray Lewis's history. We're talking about Randy Moss, how great he is. We're talking about Joe Flacco slipping up at his podium, not saying the right words. We're talking about the head referee. It's all nonsense. It's all stuff that you really don't want to talk about. Let's talk about strategies and the way these teams are going to attack each other offensively and defensively. I mean, when you have that 2-week window, it's almost like the national media and the world media all goes to New Orleans and they try to get a player or a coach or someone with the organization to slip up. Mm-hmm. We'll give them their free, headline story. I mean, the A.J. McCarron thing with his girlfriend, that's old news to me. And I want to get into the meat of playing football. And I think if you remove the Pro Bowl, I don't know what your beliefs are on the Pro Bowl, but I think the Pro Bowl has slipped. Every year it gets worse and worse and worse. So I think they have to remove the Pro Bowl and literally focus on the Super Bowl and do it in 1 week. So it's not a huge media burst where it's just like everyone's coming from anyone trying to search for a story. Because I've been on both sides. I played in them. I played in 2 Super Bowls, and I also been with the media and been on Media Row trying to grab these players who would keep walking through to get a quick interview. And it's just overkill. I'm all about the game of football and the strategies and the coaches and the players and how this team got here. I mean, and it's a wonderful game, but I think sometimes the media just makes it into such a big soap opera and such a big drama, because once that whistle's blown, it's back to playing football.
Do you not believe that even if the game there was only a week between the conference games and the Super Bowl, you'd still have this thing where people are coming in there all trying to get this story, all trying to say, as you said, trying to get a player, coach, some guy from personnel, whatever, getting them to slip up and make a mistake, and that's how they pounce on their story?
I don't think in a week it could happen. I think because these players are not come in on a Sunday or a Saturday, and then they got to focus right on their game plans. They got to get into a normal work week schedule. When I was a player, I was available to the media on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, because Fridays I had the game face on, and I was preparing for the game. So if you just have the 1 week, a lot of people won't show up because they'll get the taste of saying, you know what, a lot of the players don't even want to talk because once Thursday and Friday hit, they're focusing on their game plan, which it should be all about. I think you have to make it that 1 week because it's too long, and the reason why the NFL, they say they do it this way is so the players can focus on their families with the tickets. You're only allowed a certain amount of tickets, depending on stadiums and the size of them. I mean, the participants get close to 10,000 tickets each, and the other remaining teams that are not in the Super Bowl roughly get around 1,000. So you could figure out the ticket situation pretty quickly because not many of these players are asking for 75 or 100 tickets.
You play an X amount of games a year, whether that's a preseason, regular season, playoffs. When you play in the Super Bowl and you come out for, you've done all your warm-ups, whatever, and they're announcing you coming out, is there something existential about it? Is there something different? Like all of a sudden you realize I'm not playing in just another game in a week. This is the game, and legends can be made off the game, careers can be made, careers can be broken. It's not an average, scenario. Certainly looking at it from an outside point of view, but what is it like actually being in that situation?
It's a wonderful accomplishment as a team, not as an individual, as a team. Because I'll never forget in 1994 when Bill Cowher was there, we lost to the San Diego Chargers. We had home field advantage. We were supposed to go to the Super Bowl that year. I had probably one of my better games then. I threw over 350 yards, and we lost the last play of the game. Gibsonia, the linebacker for the Chargers, knocked the ball down. I'll never forget when, after the game, the huge letdown in '94 that we lost the AFC Championship game, and the Chargers went on and got pretty beat badly by the San Francisco 49ers. But Coach Cowher stood in front of that team after it and said, you know what, we knocked on the door this year. Next year we're going to knock the door down and go to the Super Bowl. And I looked at him like he was absolutely crazy, because emotionally you're tired, physically you're beat up, and you know the luck and the bounce of the ball, how you finally got to an opportunity to get to an AFC Championship game, how hard it is. So you have to really, enjoy that moment. And sure enough, the next year we did go back to a Super Bowl, because there's a lot of wonderful, wonderful players who never get a sniff at playing in the Super Bowl. The Warren Moons, who was a fine quarterback, but it's just so hard to get back there. So you have to cherish that moment. But it's such a long game. I mean, with all the commercials and all the halftime entertainment, we don't see any of that as players. All the fans and all the people viewing see all that. But it's such a long day for a player. I mean, you get to the stadium by noon, 12:30, 1 o'clock, and you aren't getting out of there until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Well, Neil, I want to thank you for joining us this morning. I wish I had some more time. That's my fault for not trying to set this up a bit earlier. But you provided us with a lot of great insights. Well, first of all, talking about field turf, for anybody who doesn't know about field turf. And again, Neil is a representative of field turf, selling field turf. And as you said, 23 of the 32 teams right now use field turf. It's an amazing product, has sustained players' careers far longer than playing on the synthetic stuff that, as Neil said, guys would get burns all over their body, their knees, and all their parts of their joints would just get wrecked. So, Neil, thanks for joining us this morning, for telling us about field turf, for talking to us about your career. NFL week, or Super Bowl week, and the Super Bowl game itself. It was a pleasure talking to you.
No problem at all. We'll do it again.
Thank you.
Thank you.